founder law in Harrisburg has, over the last 20 years, developed a well-deserved, great reputation as being a place that brings together great minds to discuss and develop great ideas. The World Affairs Council of Harrisburg is a much newer institution, but we are also well on the way to developing a reputation as being an institution that brings together great minds to discuss and develop great ideas. It's my honor and privilege to present the founder and the president of the World Affairs Council of Harrisburg, Joyce Davis.
Well, I hardly know who he's talking about, trust me, but thank you very much, Harry. And thank you to all of you tonight for coming to help us kick off what we know is going to have a major impact on our region. This is our first Ambassador Series lecture. And I do want to thank again Widener Law School for agreeing to let its beautiful facilities be used for this event. And we expect that we will have many of these over the course of the months at different places around our region. I have to tell you that the World Affairs Council of Harrisburg has been in existence now for about 6 months. But already we have had a profound impact, I think, on our communities. And now, what we're here for, which is to hear a truly impressive person, a man who's a true diplomat, a true scholar, and a true citizen of the world, I might also add. Dr. Akbar Ahmed is really a fitting person to be our founding ambassador, because that's what he will become known in our history as. He is the former Pakistani ambassador to Great Britain. He is currently holding the Ibn Khaldun Chair of Islamic Studies at American University. He also has held the Distinguished Chair for Middle East Studies at the U.S. Naval Academy. He is a non-resident fellow at Brookings Institution. He has basically served as an advisor for many distinguished leaders, including Prince Charles of Great Britain and George W. Bush, basically serving as an interpreter on Islam. He has taught at Princeton, he has taught at Harvard, he has taught at Cambridge. He has been repeatedly interviewed on the BBC, on NPR, on CNN, and several times he's really made it to the top on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So, the BBC has referred to Dr. Ahmed as the world's leading authority on modern Islam. But I'm going to add, I can't really go on to tell you all about his bio because it is truly extensive. This is a man of true distinguishment, I'll put it that way. But let me simply add one other thing about him. I have known Dr. Ahmed personally. We were on many panels together when I lived in Washington, D.C., and I know he's a true gentleman. And he's also my dear and respected friend. So with that, I invite Dr. Akbar Ahmed to talk to us tonight about his latest work, Journey into America, the Challenge of Islam.
Thank you, Joyce, for those very warm words. Very kind and very affectionate as always. Now let me plunge into the subject for this evening. Joyce had said that this is an important topic. I could not agree more. For me, the subject really begins on 9/11. I was in class teaching students, American students. One of them may have been Dean Meadows' daughter, Caitlin, when the plane smashed into the Pentagon. And when that happened, I knew instinctively that my world had changed forever. And I don't mean this in the sense that everyone's world had changed. I knew because I had come to America after a long and turbulent career, a very tough career. I was in charge of parts of Balochistan, I was in charge of Waziristan, I was High Commissioner, I'd done everything, and I said, I just want to sit on a campus writing my books, maybe my memoirs, teaching some students, and maybe picking up and learning golf. And when that happened, 9/11, at that moment I knew that I would have to use, as far as I was concerned, every fiber of my being in trying to explain Islam, build bridges, make friendships, because I knew instinctively that the gap between Muslims and non-Muslims would have widely opened up, and closing of that gap would become a mission, not only to me, but every American that I met who had similar feelings, how to close that gap. And that became a challenge, a passion, a mission. And on that journey, I have met some incredible people, very, very inspiring people, including Joyce, including Stephen, and we've been literally traveling the globe in trying to close that gap. Now, the good news is that there are many, many people involved in this exercise, aware that it's not simply a question of the United States of America, this great tragedy which took place on 9/11, but it has wider ramifications. The world is involved. Bad news is that that gap is not really closing. The faster we run, the broader the gap seems to become. So it really needs every bit of effort from people like me, from people like you, from people in the World Affairs Council, aware of the nature of the world we are living in. And it was in this spirit that I decided first to go to the Muslim world to understand what Muslims were thinking of America, talk to them, sit in their bazaars, in their mosques, in their madrasas, and take some of my students with me. And Jonathan was one of them, 4 or 5 of my American students accompanied me. We went to the Middle East, to South Asia, to Far East Asia. We met thousands of people. We met presidents and prime ministers and celebrities, and we met ordinary Muslims. We went to madrasas. We sat facing hundreds of young men with beards, very, very tense about Islam, lots of questions about America. Why does America hate us? And one of the big questions they constantly asked us, why does America distort the image of Islam? Why is America against Islam? And I would point to my American students and I would say, if America hated you, these young Americans would not be sitting in this madrasa or in this mosque. And that's a very powerful argument, because most of them had never ever met an American before. And then we came back and we wrote up this book, Journey into Islam. But I began to think, and I said, look, to my American team, I said, if this is the case in the Muslim world, how much do Americans really know about Islam? What is happening to Muslims in America? We keep hearing these stories. You have a Muslim story almost every week. How much of this is reality? What is going on in the field? Has anyone done a study of this kind? And I was taken aback. I'm an anthropologist by profession. I was taken aback to discover that, in fact, no study like this existed. There are lots of really good studies, excellent studies, but nothing of a global nature, nothing of the entire Muslim community in the context of American history and society. So when my sabbatical came up, I had a year coming up, I took that whole year, the entire sabbatical, to travel the United States. Again with my trusty team. And we went to 75 cities, visited 100 mosques, got thousands of questionnaires filled in. We talked to Muslims and Jews and Christians and atheists and every kind of American, north, south, east, west. And we kept the focus firmly on Muslims in America. So that was the filter through which we are looking at American society and history. And very quickly I became aware that this is a project not only about Islam, it's a project about America. And note this, next time there's a Muslim controversy, Ground Zero Mosque or Juan Williams being fired from NPR, just analyze it a bit. Are we really talking about Islam, or are we debating American identity? What kind of America do we want for America? What does it mean to be an American? What will it mean for an American to be an American in the 21st century? Which kind of American? These are big questions and they need to be tackled. And somehow we are not looking at them frontally. We're looking at them sideways. So we're talking about President Obama. The whispers are that he may be a Muslim. 25 to 30% of Americans believe he's a Muslim. Now that creates a lot of doubt, a lot of anguish, a lot of anxiety in a lot of Americans. If they really believe that, and he becomes so defensive that in Indonesia, he doesn't go to his own school where he grew up. He was there for 4 years, where the kids are preparing an Indonesian dance to welcome him in case he turned up, because he's so defensive. He goes to the school, there'll be photographs, there'll be footage showing him in a school, and of course the headlines will be, Obama visits his old madrasa. And that has connotations in America. That's how tense this debate is about America. The Tea Party movement, the recent elections, candidates who are witches or not witches, all this is part of this anxiety and the debate that America is conducting with itself. American identity. So therefore, the study became more complex than just looking at Muslims. And in order to understand American identity, we had to, myself and my team, become scholars of America. And I'm an anthropologist, I'm not a scholar of America. And I literally had to start reading every book on American history, American society. We had to work out who was on the Mayflower. We had to work out what Plymouth means to Americans, Plymouth Rock. It means one thing to one American, another thing to another American. So many Americans we talked to took pride in the fact that their ancestors were on the Mayflower. Incidentally, something like 20% of Americans claim they're descended from. This for an anthropologist is not surprising, because every society would like to associate with the founding fathers and the myth of foundation. This happens in all society, but we were constantly, almost every second American I meet with, where I was on, my ancestors were on that ship. But what does Plymouth Rock mean to an African American? You recall Malcolm X's famous statement about Plymouth Rock.
We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America. Our forefathers weren't the Pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us.
Malcolm X is reversing the mythology of Plymouth Rock. Again, as an outsider looking at American society, it intrigued me. And every African American I talked to, I'd say, what does Plymouth mean to you, Plymouth Rock? They would quote Malcolm X. So again, we're seeing identity, but different versions of American identity. And that hasn't entirely been resolved, as we can see from President Obama's position in America today. So, books have ideas. They can allow us to explore ideas. And it is a big book, and it is a book rich in ethnography. So if nothing else, as all the reviewers have said, you learn about America. The country you love, the country you live in, the country you've grown up in, and the country you want to see flourish, succeed, triumph in the end. You'll see it from different perspectives. We interviewed African American Muslims, we interviewed white converts, we interviewed immigrants, and we went into great detail. We interviewed a whole range of people, the entire range of people, the entire mosaic of American society. Rabbis, archbishops, a stripper in Las Vegas, the head of the KKK, everyone, because people would say, have you talked to so-and-so? And we'd say, yes, we must talk to the entire mosaic, and then put it together. And that's how you understand a society.